Super excited. Super excited. Listen, guys, I get excited on a Monday like you guys get excited on a Friday. I promise you guys, like, listen. Monday for me is like the life of the party. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. You know something, Bobby? When people get that Friday piece or that Saturday or that extended weekend, right? So people get excited when there's an extended weekend, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't believe it. Like I hate it. I promise you, I hate it, right? Because I'm a CEO, guys, so I could take Wednesday off if I feel like it.
Yeah.
I could take Wednesday off. I could take Thursday off. As a matter of fact, I do that as a power play. That's one of my major flexes. One of my major flexes. You guys might not know about the 7F framework that we use inside of the $1 billion brand and inside of Branded Like a Leader, right? But listen, let me tell you something. Extended weekends make me aggy. Why? Because I know people going to be sleeping. People going to be lazy. People are not going to be picking up their phones. You know, sales go low. Listen. You got to get excited on a Monday like people get excited on a Friday. So I'm excited, exuberant, absolutely electric. What's the energy like, Bobby? How you feeling over there, buddy?
I'm feeling great. The thing that I wrote down for this morning for me, because I'm always pushing myself, always trying to challenge myself. I wrote down, the day you're prepared to pummel the bully is the day he changes schools.
Come on.
So,
Let's go.
like, what that meant for me was just a real short story. Was I remember being young and living in a neighborhood, and this is like the early 2000s, and like fighting outside was still cool. Like I was still acceptable. This was before people would like shoot you for crazy stuff. And where I'm from, like in the South, like this was before they were coming out with the guns and whatnot. This is where you could literally fight after school or outside the school, and it was acceptable. So I remember going through the trail on my way home as a very frail kid, and I got jumped by this group of bullies. And when it happened, I didn't fight back. I don't know why. So I was soft at that time. I was weak. I don't know. I was by myself. Maybe I felt like, I don't know. But I didn't fight back. And it bothered me. Oh, it irked me. And I didn't even know, because I didn't grow up with my dad, so nobody ever taught me how to man up. But one thing I knew was that felt disgusting. Like it could not happen. So now I'm training. I'm like Rocky. I'm in the mirror. I'm doing push-ups. I'm saying the next time I see these guys, it's going down. I don't care how many of them it is. That was my mindset. So I'm walking. I've been training for like 2-3 months now. I'm ready. It's on site. I walk out. I'll see these kids on their bike. And man, we're like 11 years old, guys. Like 11 or 12. I see them on their bikes and I'm ready. Oh, you can see it in my eyes. I'm fuming. I'm like, hitting is too good for these guys. I'm going to bite one of them. I heard Les Brown say that once. It's like hitting would be too good for these guys. So I start to approach them and they take off running.
Yeah.
I mean, I never saw pedals move so fast. So what I wanted to share with everybody this morning, like what I'm feeling this morning is like, I was ready. I've been training to face this bully in my life. Like this bully has always been beating me up. Like every time I try to do something with my life, with my business, with my energy, with my like family, this thing
right.
coming up. So I've been training all year for this dude. I'm like, oh, it's going down. I'm about to murk you. Show your face again. It's over.
That's right.
It showed up, and I was ready. And
Come on, guys.
I didn't want to fight. I was so upset. Like I was so angry. But that's how I'm feeling this morning. I'm feeling
good. Guys, listen, if you're a consumer this Black Friday, this Cyber Monday, this whole weekend, if you're a consumer, being a producer is your bully. The shift, the mindset shift from going from a consumer to a producer. Listen, guys, your inbox is being rained on, right? Your inbox is being rained on. Everybody hitting you, buy this, 20% off, 50% off, 75% off, It's like an auction, right? It's like an auction. Everybody that you could think of and people that you don't even know, you're like, how did they get my email? I didn't ever sign up for this. But it's just raining down on you. Buy this, 28% off, 67% off. Like everybody's trying everything. If you're a consumer instead of a producer, then you're the one being bullied. You're the one being bullied. So I want you to think about this weekend. Like, what do I have? This is the last November weekend. Matter of fact, it's already gone. It's already gone. Like, it's almost the new year, guys. It's almost 2024. This should set a tone. This should set a tone and a precedent for what the rest of the next year is going to look like. How are you entered? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So how you did 2023, unless you make an immediate shift, unless you make an immediate drastic shift, how you end 2023 will be how you live 2024. And we'll be right back. I remember this time last year, Bobby, I remember saying the same thing to probably the same people. And a few people made critical decisions. They took critical actions, and they got critical results. A lot of people didn't know. And we'll be right back to talk about that. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a zero behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yes.
All right, guys. All right. So listen. Super excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you because if you make the right decision this year, if you make the right decision, like in these next, 60 minutes? In these next 45 minutes, guys, I promise you, it's that critical. All it takes is a decision shift. You should be writing that down. Decision shift. All it takes is a decision shift. Most people make decisions, but they're not disciplined enough to allow it time to develop so they can dominate. Most people make micro decisions. They make micro decisions, Bobby. They make decisions with alternatives. They make decisions with maybes, right? Decisions with possible detours and alternative routes. If this doesn't happen, then I'll. If this doesn't happen, then I'll. I want you to make a critical decision with no alternatives. That's when you become successful. Critical decisions, no alternatives. Sometimes you got to box yourself in. I tell people all the time, I say, empty your bank account so you don't have any options. Empty your bank account. Oh, I'm distracted, Shaan. I can't concentrate. Great. Empty your bank account. Get rid of it. Make a huge investment. Make an investment that just blows your mind that you would never do before. Why? Because now you don't have any options. Now you got to fill that up. Now you got to put it back in. So you don't have any options. Shaan, I'm feeling like I don't want to pick up the phone. Okay, great. Empty your bank account. So you don't have any options but to pick up the phone. I'm not making sales. Great. Empty your bank account. I bet you're not going to starve tonight. I bet you're going to change your mind. You're going to change your mentality real quick. I learned this real fast, Bobby. Growing up in Harlem, I learned this real quick. Bad salesmen have skinny kids. Bad salesmen have skinny kids. And no wives. You got to produce. If you're not producing, guys, listen, skip the nonsense, skip the certification, skip the bundle packages. If you're not producing, if you're not closing, you know what somebody said to me?
What's that?
This is something that I learned real quick because I was doing, the procrastination piece. I was just stacking skills and learning. And I had a consultation from an MBA. You know what he asked me? He said, Shaan, do you have a YouTube channel? This was before I had the YouTube channel. This question crushed me. He said, do you have a YouTube channel? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, right now I'm trying to stack and I'm trying to learn and I'm giving him all the reasons why I'm procrastinating.
Yeah.
And that's what he said to me. He said, being stuck in learning is a smart person's excuse for procrastinating.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Critical.
I wrote two things down here, like that stuck in procrastination piece is one that I want to hit. But before I hit that one, there was something you said before we went to the break that just really struck me. And that was, you've got an opportunity to make the rest of your life like the best of your life. That's kind of what I heard. That's what I heard. It was like, hey, 2024 will look like 2023 unless you make a huge decision shift. And the thing I wanted to share with the people before I hit on the stuck in the learning, because I feel like that was 100% me. But here's one thing that I just want to share with people. There's 2 fitness tests that we would take in the Marine Corps. And both of them required you to dig like really, really deep. And when you are doing the PFT, it's a 3-mile run. You're normally digging really deeply on that last 500 meters, that last half a mile. And depending on how fast you run, that's about 3 minutes of all out digging or about 5 minutes of all out digging. And what you want to do is you want to black out to a degree. Like you don't want to be thinking about anything but moving your legs as viciously and vigorously as possible. So that's that. The second one is the CFT. And in the CFT, we are doing a lot of like body drags and body carries and just putting people on your back and moving them through to simulate combat situations. And the goal also is to dig. Like you have this one part of the training that's relatively easy on the body, easy on the heart, and then you have this one part that's just, it obliterates the muscles, like everything hurts, and you want to push through that. So what I want to encourage everyone to at least just think about, just think about is, have you been pushing yourself this year? Like really pushing yourself? And if you haven't, what does pushing yourself through the month of December look like? Is that making another investment? Is that hitting the books harder than you hit them before? Is that going into your zone and like blacking out? So that's just something I wanted to put out there, because I remember losing insurance. And I told you guys about this a few weeks ago. Like I felt less than a man. I felt like I let my family down. I felt like the money that they were banking on me to deliver, I wasn't able to deliver. And I can attribute a portion of that to my inability to dig, not even inability, my unwillingness to dig in a time where it was absolutely necessary. So that was one point, because some of you all, you can do it. Like you there, like you in the fight. My man, Eric Thomas, he says, don't cry to give up. You already in pain. Cry to finish. He like, cry to finish if you're going to cry, So I think that that's really powerful there. But the piece on getting stuck in the learning cycle for me was, real talk, like I was embarrassed, guys, of like, I was embarrassed of my experiences. Sometimes we can have expertise and education, but the way we came by that expertise and education might be something less than glorious, so to speak. Said another way, a single mother with 3 kids and 3 different baby daddies might feel like the way she came about understanding multitasking, leadership, self-perception, and self-respect, and authority and masculinity balanced with femininity, the way she came about acquiring those skills, those expertise and experience, she might be embarrassed by it. And sometimes we can be embarrassed. Like I don't talk about the military as much as I think I should. My coach has been telling me lean into that. But a lot of the people in the finance space come from Wharton. They come from Columbia. They come from Harvard. And because I gained a lot of my experience and expertise on the battlefields with dirt under my nails, with boots on my feet, with rounds going down range, I might feel embarrassed at times to say this is where and this is why I'm qualified. So I feel like I got stuck in that learning gap because I was embarrassed by what I had or how I had learned. And if you're in that position, I would encourage you to take it, man. Like you learned how you learned. Like don't beat yourself up about how you acquired your information. Just use it and get in the rooms with people that can show you how to leverage your story. That origin story is your crown glory. That's what I've learned.
So watch this, guys. It's the thing that you hate and fear the most that will make you the most successful. It's the very thing that you hate and fear the most that will make you the most successful. So Bobby talks about drowning as a cadet, right? But it's getting down there in the deep part of the water that allowed him to build his lung capacity and his averseness to danger, which made him a different kind of soldier, which led him to becoming a staff sergeant, right? It's Shaan Rais. Listen, bro, let me tell you something. I despised school. School was my bully. Like school was my bully. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I was out of there. I said, I'm gone. I checked out. As soon as I checked in, I clocked out. School was not my thing at all. And when I chose to change my situation, a lot of you know my story. Those of you who don't, I was at a point in my life where it was just time to change from being a kid from Harlem to being a grown man and doing business and becoming an adult and making mature decisions. And I made those decisions. The first decision that I had to make was to go back and finish something that I started a long time ago. And it was literally coming face to face with my fears. Systems and structures, authority and organizational processes. I hated those things. But I had to put myself in the middle of a process. Sometimes, guys, you got to put yourself in the middle of a process of that which you know not, because you don't even know what kind of gifts those things behold for you. It's the thing that you fear and are scared of the most that'll make you the most successful. So let me just give you one caveat, right? So I got my associate's degree in human services. I'm in my next piece. So I'm going for the bachelor's now. And I get this class. And I believe it's human services 101, but for the bachelor's degree. So it's a different human services completely. And the first class I got spun me out. Bobby, it was like the speed dryer with no door.
Right.
The first class I got spun me out. I was out of there. I realized I was reacquainted with the reason why I hated school. Mm-hmm. I had this project to do. Many of you will know it if you've been to college. It's called an annotated bibliography. I couldn't even spell it. Annotated bibliography. And I'm like, why? Why is it important? It can't be important. How am I going to use this? There's no reason for me to use this at all. It has no bearing. Sometimes you guys will go through a course or get a training or hear what I'm saying and be like, well, how does that apply to my business? How does that apply to me making money? Au contraire, mon frère. Listen, sometimes we so big picture, we need to collapse it and get real granular and pay close attention, right? So watch this. I did the annotated bibliography, got an A in the class, and then dropped the entire thing. It spun me out. I went into another major. About a year later, I'm writing my book, the first one, The 7 Prerequisites to Success. And as I realized that I'm writing a book, I'm like, hold on, I need a structure for this. I need a structure. I need to put it in a framework. And as I'm looking at a table of contents and how to do it, I remembered the annotated bibliography. Yeah. And the annotated bibliography structure of the class that I hated the most, the one I discarded, the one I gave no credit to, became the framework for what we now call the 10 PD framework. So not only did I structure my table of contents with that structure, I have made I made 7 figures off of that. Ooh. And it just clicked for me now. It literally just clicked for me now that Branded Like a Leader was the catalyst. But inside of Branded Like a Leader, I teach the 10 PD framework. And in the 10 PD framework, see layers and layers and layers. In the 10 PD framework, I teach that annotated bibliography as a way for anyone who wants to write a 300-page book in less than 30 days. That's one of the components of Branded Like a Leader. And Branded Like a Leader has taken us from crickets to digits and from bland to industry leading brand, and from zero to hero, and from unknown to full blown, and from 0 to 450K in less than 90 days. And from 0 to, listen, guys, listen. The reason why I share numbers, let me just help you out. The reason why I share numbers is because I want you to be excited about numbers. Right? I want you to become excited about numbers. It's not about me anymore. Bobby, what's your revenue growth for the past 3 years?
400% in climbing.
400% in climbing. What about this year?
400% again. We're over now. We hit.
Exactly.
Hey.
Look, he about to check his numbers. Listen, it's not about my numbers anymore. It's about Bobby numbers. It's about your numbers. It's about your numbers. The reason why I say numbers and the reason why I'm so numbers oriented, because I want you to become numbers orientated and stop thinking that it can't happen for you. Because remember, I'm just a kid from Harlem who grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. You don't have to be a historian to know what took place during that time. All of the odds were against us. All of the odds were against you. So if you feel like all of the odds are against you, this could be your moment. If school wasn't your strong suit, this could be your moment. If you're in a job and you're like, I don't really like it, I think I could do better, this might be your moment. But that only happens if you make a decision, guys. Let me say this. Every moment is your moment, but it's not your moment when you choose it not to be. You have to make a decision. You're responsible for your come up. You're responsible for your come up. We can give links. There's a link on this call right now. We can give links. I can break all kinds of prices down for you. Right? But this is the thing. Most people want stuff for free. Most people want stuff for free and they don't understand. Like, this call is free. This call is free, but free won't get you the fee. Free won't get you the fee. Most people want free, but they want a fee for their stuff. They're like, nah, I want to charge $5,000. I want to make as much money as I want. I want to be, I want to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, for however long I want. You're not going to get the information that's going to allow you to do that for free. Free is access. Free is not success. So right now you have access to the things that you need to become successful. The question is, will you or will you not? And that's a you question, not a me question. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5, to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run, this is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Ooh.
Stop playing with it.
Yeah.
Stop playing with it. What do you guys think about that video, man? What do you guys think about that video that just went off, man? It's time for, listen, I'll be honest with you, right? There's levels to growth. There's levels. So let me tell you about a conversation I had the other day. Because one of my sons, right, he's learning his prayer, right? He's learning a prayer. And I say there's levels to growth. There's levels to growth, guys. And I said one of the most proudest moments in a father's life is when they start to hear their son speak. When their children begin to speak. That's one level. But there's another level. And when your child begins to talk to God, that's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level. There's 2 different kinds of speaking. So first they start speaking, and then you overhear them. You're walking past their room and they're praying and you hear them speaking to God. It's a whole different level of speaking. It's a different level of pride. So as we grow up, we grow up, we go to school, right? We go to school and that's success. That's a level of success. And then we get a job, and that's a level of success. But what if there was another level to success? What if there was a level to success where you left that job and began to create jobs for others? How about that? How about that level of success? That's what this is. That's what we talk about. This is what brand build. This is what B2B is about. This is what branded like a leader is about. This is what leadership leverage is about. You get your leadership. You go to school. You go to college. You get the leadership. You get the education and experience and expertise within the organizational gig. The question is, do you stay there or do you graduate? Do you graduate to business ownership and begin to create opportunities for other people that people don't have access to? You got a dream. You got a goal. You got a vision. You know you do. Everybody on this call has a dream, a goal, and a vision. The question is, does it come out of you or does it stay stuck in you? Does somebody else bring it to life? And I'm going to say one more thing before I give it to Bobby. There's so many things that you see and hear other people do that you thought of before. There's so many products, programs, and fly things that you hear people say when they speak, and you're like, wow, I thought of that. I could have came up with that. I could have said that. You could have said that. And there's so many things that you could do right now, but you're not. There's so many gifts that you're giving to someone else or giving away for free that you could be monetizing. Teresa agrees. That was her proudest moment as a parent too.
Yeah. Man.
Are you going to be a consumer or a producer? That's the question. What's your next level?
There's so much here this morning. So much here that I want to retouch on something that I started speaking about a few weeks ago, and it is constructing paradigms. So a paradigm or perspective is how you see the world. And I feel like a lot of us right now don't have a good definition of wealth. And I believe that the lack of understanding of what wealth really is what's crippling a lot of us in the marketplace today. And I'll give an example very briefly because that last video struck me in a very powerful and animating way. It's excited some things in me. Good. So one of the things that I see for a lot of people is getting stuck in the revenue trap. The revenue trap. And it's because if we don't come into a community where we actually learn how to navigate the Underground Railroad, we might get stuck at one of the houses. Those that don't know about the Underground Railroad, it wasn't really a train, right? It wasn't really a train. It was a series of checkpoints. And you had to get to these checkpoints. And oftentimes, I would imagine you had a timeline. You had a certain amount of time. Those that know about LLCs and the IRS know that you can only take a loss in your business so many years before they qualify that business as ineffective. And they make you shut it down. So what I'm talking about is when you had the Underground Railroad, you had people like Tubman that were showing people, coaching people on how to get from one house to the next house and how to get there fast enough and how to get there with enough energy to make it to the next house and how not to get stuck at one house and how if your kid got sick and you were on the run and you wanted to go back for them, the best window to potentially go back and get them and keep catch back up. There's so much that goes into this. And I feel like a lot of times people have gotten caught in the house. So let's say you had 5 houses to get to in the Freedom Run to get to the north, right? So house number 1 would be leaving your job. You got to strike out from the plantation, so to speak. Boom, you're moving. Once you get from there and you're on the run, you got to figure out how to sustain. So now you're on the run, but you no longer have food. So you got to figure out, okay, how am I going to make money? So that's the introduction to sales. That's when you have to learn how to sell, how to coach, how to consult, how to speak. You got to figure out how to eat on the run. What berries can I eat? Boom, that's house 2. House number 3 is the house that I see a lot of people get stuck at. That's the revenue house. So you get revenue coming in, You got some food coming in, so to speak, and it's coming in with somewhat regularity, and then we get comfortable. Or we just don't know how to 10x it, because you got to 10x it, because the next level is profitability. A lot of businesses are revenue heavy, but there's no profitability. Like they're spending more money than they're making. So no amount of revenue is going to set you free. So to get to the fourth house, which is profitability, you need to understand certain things. And then to get to the fifth house, which is freedom, is retained earnings, equity that you can pull out of the company in the form of cash so that you can reinvest it elsewhere, which is when we start talking about portfolio management. But so many people never get there. They get stuck at revenue. If they get to revenue, some people, they strike out, they leave their job, and they don't even know how to eat. They don't figure out how to eat. See,
listen, this thing doesn't happen a lot. This thing doesn't happen a lot, because even on my videos, I'll say something like, should I quit? Because I get the question all the time, should I quit my job? And in the event, I said, mentally, yes. But then I turned around, and this part isn't in the clip. Then I turned around and said, but not yet, right? Because you can't leave your job until you know how to attract, close deals. You got to generate leads. You got to build a brand. You have to build a brand, because the brand is the ecosystem where the leads keep coming in. Do you understand? Please understand this part. So people say, Shaan, how do I invest in building a huge brand when I got to eat today? Great. You eat today while you build the pipeline for tomorrow, so that you don't always have to go hand to mouth. If you don't have a system, you're inside someone else's system. Let me say this again. If you don't have a system, you're trapped inside someone else's system, which means if you can't leave your job, then you're trapped because you haven't built a system. If you can't leave your business, if you leave the business and the business dies, it's because you're trapped and you haven't built a system. So on both levels, you're not qualified. If you're not qualified to leave, then you need to create a system. If you're not getting leads in, if you're not closing deals, if you don't have a pipeline, if you don't have qualified people on an appointment this week, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And this is where we come with the branding and the personal branding and the leadership development, because leadership is influence, guys. Leadership is influence and persuasion. Most people would like to fancy themselves a leader, but they have no followers. They have no constituents. It's like a politician of nothing and nowhere. You know how they say so-and-so is from Detroit, or so-and-so is running for office, but he's a politician. He's a delegate in Illinois. That means that some fraction of the people in Illinois follows that person and promote him and push him and donate to his campaign. If you don't have constituents, if you don't have followers, if you don't have supporters, if you don't have people whose success you can point to, then you don't have a campaign, and you can't leave your job. And I get it. I understand. I know how it feels. But if you want to be able to leave your job next year or the year after that, then you need to learn a system. You need to learn a system. And that's what branded like a leader is. And that's what coaching like a leader is. And that's what speaking and all of these things all of these programs that come from the Shaan Wright East brand, that's what these are. The first and most important ones are branding, marketing, and closing. You have to have a brand. You have to know how to market yourself. You have to know how to get yourself out there. You got to be able to speak to the people in the people's language to attract them. And then you got to be able to close a deal, guys. So many people come through and they're like, Shaan, I'm making appointments. I'm just not closing the deal. Okay, great. Until you learn that system, you can't leave your job. You're trapped. You're trapped. Revenue cycles of entrapment. Real quick, revenue cycles of entrapment. There's a lot of them. Some of you are on zero. You're not making any money. That's a level of entrapment. You got to break through that cage. And then you say, okay, Shaan, I'm making money, but I'm only making $5,000 a month. That's a revenue cycle of entrapment. You're stuck at what we call 4 figures. And then you break through that at $9,999. And you're like, wow, Shaan, I made $10K a month. I'm making $10K a month. Now, $10K a month is $120,000 a year. It's like, okay, great. You're a contender, not a champion, but you're a contender. You have a fighting chance. But you realize real fast that 6 figures is not enough. And then you jump into what we call multiple 6 figures and then 7 figures. And if you don't, you're trapped in a revenue cycle of entrapment. And for each of these levels, there's new skills and new systems that need to be implemented to get you from where you are to where you want to go. That's what this bundle package is about, guys. When you see that link down there, that's all this is. Like, I'm not trying to teach you stuff that you can't apply. I'm not trying to show you stuff that's on level 9 when you're on level 1 or level 2. What that package is the integral package of components that you need to scale you first. Add a 0 to you before you add a 0 to your business. So it's branding, marketing, and closing. Branding, marketing, and closing. If you're starting your business, if you're at 6 figures or below, please don't let anybody tell you about anything else, because they're going to give you some stuff that don't apply to you. They're going to give you some stuff that's like a hope, and strategy is not hope, and hope is not a strategy. You need to understand how to brand yourself, make yourself differentiate yourself in the marketplace, make you different from everyone else. You need to know how to market yourself so other people find out about you, because if nobody knows, it doesn't make a difference. You can have the best steak in the world. If you try to sell it in a vegan neighborhood, you make no money. And number 3, when those people come in the door, you need to know how to close the deal.
You know, what came to my mind when you were talking about this was Albert Einstein. And I'm going to tie all of this together. But Albert Einstein, he came to my mind because he was infatuated with hidden systems. He saw the world around us and he said, what makes that thing drop like that? What makes this thing go so fast? What makes this thing do that? He was super inquisitive about what happens around us. And now what we know those things to be are universal laws, universal laws we cannot see, but we are very aware of their existence. And we can even harness them when we understand them. And ladies and gentlemen, I've been through each of those courses. Branded like a leader, marketing like a leader, closing like a leader. And what I will say is what I gained from those courses were nothing short of universal laws of business. Because what I realized and learned was that everything is a system in some shape, form, or fashion. Everything. Like, I remember, I'm not going to take y'all down memory lane with me, but I remember learning systems of equations in my pre-calculus course leading up to my quantitative analytics course. And it was painful. It was painful. But the reality was those systems of equations could be leveraged in just about any area that you could find this equals that. And in business, everything's an equation. If you do this, it should equal this. We have a thing called the accounting equation. Assets equal liabilities plus equity. There's no way around these things. So one thing that I would like to encourage everyone to do is to acknowledge universal laws, which I'm just asking that you acknowledge them. And if you believe that universal laws can exist in the world around you, contemplate the idea that they might be existent in business. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can wrap your head around that, if you can say, you know what, maybe there is so much light at the end of the tunnel for you. And I'm going to tell you why. Because universal laws never fail. They never fail. Gravity never stops gravitating. Speed, the speed in which things fall does not change. The speed of light from one place to another does not change. If you learn how to close, the art of closing will not change on you.
No, it will not.
If you learn to brand, your authentic brand origin story will not change on you. Like your past won't change on you if you learn how to leverage it. And marketing, if you learn to read and understand and hear the market empathetically, those skill sets will not change on you. And so many people are trying to build their business absent of the universal laws that govern business.
Powerful, powerful. You know, one thing I learned, there's certain things that are not negotiable. There's certain things that are not negotiable. And whether you do it now or not, you're going to have to come back around to this. That's what I learned at the age of 30. At the age of 30, Bobby, I had to go back to college. I had to turn around and go back to something that I had left prior to. I had to retrace my steps and humble myself and jump back into something that I had jumped out of because I thought I was ready. I thought I was ready to do it on my own. I was like, I don't need college. I'm good. Like there's a world of people that don't have college. I don't need college. And then I got to a certain point and I was stuck in the revenue cycle of entrapment. I was stuck in a revenue cycle of entrapment. I said, hold on, I need new skills to get to a new level. And for me, that meant I had to go all the way back. You know how they say, don't skip gold, don't collect 200?
Yep.
Monopoly, you got to go right all the way back. I had to go all the way back and humble myself all the way and start college again. Guys, if you don't learn branding, if you don't know how to build a personal brand, the world has gone from brick and mortar to click and order. Everything has changed in the last 2 years. Like in the last 2 to 3 years, everything we thought about business has changed. They're changing curriculum. Now you got master's degrees in entrepreneurship. You didn't have that 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Now they have master's degrees. Branding is a competency in college. It didn't used to be. Marketing competencies, extremely high level competencies. Sales used to be something they never taught in college, and now they're beginning to look at how to introduce the sales component because they know they're letting people out of college and they don't know how to feed themselves. They're not productive. It's not practical. They're learning theory. So we don't do theory. All we do is practical. And that's why you see the extreme amount of huge revenue increases and opportunities in business, because you all watching this now have huge opportunities to scale yourself and scale your business like never thought of before. It was absolutely never thought of before. Whether you do it or not, it doesn't make me any difference, but it will make you a difference, and it will make a difference in your household. That's the key. It's not about we, it's about you. It's about you shifting the decision-making process and saying, you know what? I'm tired of being a consumer. And you know what? I'm tired of being stuck at 6 figures or less and making a critical decision that is over. Like, it's over. I'm going to make the decision now before I move into 2024. So in 2024, I can implement a new standard, a new way of doing things, and change the reality. Guys, we always talk about abstract concepts here, but I want to get real practical and real concrete with you today. There's 3 core skills that you need, and that's branding, marketing, and closing. No fluff. No fluff. If you don't have a brand, then your voice is not heard. You're like everybody else. Nobody knows you. They can't tell who you are because you sound like everybody else. Number 2, if you can't market, nobody knows you exist. If you're not marketing, nobody knows you exist. You don't know how to penetrate the marketplace. There's so much noise going on. You're getting 100 emails, but nobody's getting an email from you. You're not marketing. You're playing half the game. And closing. If you're not closing deals, then the cash register isn't ringing. And if the cash register isn't ringing, you may not know it, but you're out of business.
Man. What came to me when you broke down the correlation, like branding is your voice, marketing is how you penetrate the market, and then closing is how you keep the cash register singing. Like when you broke that down, I thought to myself, I was like, what does it take to be an entrepreneur, like to be a business owner? And because we're focusing on this, I'm just going to focus on these three. But I remember yesterday I was sitting down and I was asking myself, if I was in an apprenticeship, which I am, and I said I was becoming an entrepreneur, what skills would I have to master? Now, because I'm still scaling, growing, and building, because I see my business being one of those like billion-dollar businesses. Like, I'm not joking with you guys. Like, I'm on a path, like where I'm at right now, 400% revenue growth. Like, it's good, it's great, I appreciate it, but I'm trying to go somewhere else, right? So when I'm looking at what I need to do to get there, I'm like, who do I have to be? Like, what type of entrepreneur, like what type of apprenticeship can I get into? And here's what came to mind, but I'll let you guys know what I'm focusing on. We're going to focus on these three, but what came to mind was branding, marketing, closing, leadership, operations, finance, accounting, and I think those were all of them. Like for the most part, I was like, if I could wrap my head around all of those, and then I said, which ones did I need to know first? And I was like, branding, marketing, closing. So for us to be going down this road this morning is super, super interesting because that's exactly what I put down yesterday on my paper. And the reason I want to bring this up to the forefront is that don't be afraid to start over. You know, they say that the righteous man falls down 7 times, gets up 8. And I have owned 4 businesses. 3, I got it wrong. The 4th one, I got it right. And I own businesses in California. I've owned businesses in Florida. I've owned businesses in North Carolina. And I've owned businesses in various industries. And at each stage, I learned something new. At each stage, I developed some more character. At each stage, I figured something else out. But here's one thing that was tried and true. Until I put these things in their right sequence and order, I was never successful. So in the music industry, I was talented, but I didn't understand systems. Like I understood branding because you have to brand to be an artist. I understood marketing to a degree because I worked a lot of times with the promotional team to get your stuff out there and get onto shows, but I had no understanding of payment processing. I had no understanding of closing deals. I had no understanding. And like in closing, you got to have a payment processor, but we're not going down that road, right? But that was one sequence that I didn't have in that business. Then I went to my second business, which was personal financial, personal finance, personal finance. And in that space, I got several things wrong because I didn't do it in the right order. So I didn't know marketing the way I needed to know marketing. So I kept attracting people that couldn't pay me. So I kept bringing all these people to me and then they couldn't pay. And then because my brand was weak, for lack of better terms, I didn't have the differentiation in the marketplace to actually make good money. So that business didn't work. Boom. So then I got into my next business, which was a bookkeeping company in the trucking industry with a friend of mine. And in this particular business, I didn't know leadership. I didn't have the component. So we were both Marines. We didn't clash, but we didn't know how to toggle the integrator visionary role. And these are things that are like accented skills. Just going through the course, just going through branded like a leader, you will see leadership. Just going through marketing like a leader, you will feel continuity. Just going through closing like a leader, I don't know if the squared circle is in there, but if you see the squared circle, you'll see what iron sharpening iron looks like. So it was like that component was missing. So that business failed. And then business number 4, right? And then the man falls down 4 times, but he's like, I'm getting up a 5th timer. I said, okay, what do I need to do? I need help. So I find Shaan Rais on one of these calls. It wasn't Breakfast with the Brand. It was the 4 a.m. alien call. Much like the Breakfast with the Brand, but just in a different space, different time. Right. So it was coming on Wednesday mornings, and I hopped on. And at this time, I had 3 failed businesses or 3 failed attempts, arrows in my back. I'm hurting. I'm bleeding out. And I go in to give it a shot. And then I start to feel differently. I start to see things differently. I start to meet different people, and I start to integrate with the community. And people start sharing insights with me. And people start talking to me about their successes and failures. And lo and behold, I'm becoming acclimated. Guys, I hope y'all are hearing what I'm saying. This is about community. This is about community. I'm becoming acclimated. And as I become acclimated, I say, maybe there's more. Like, maybe there's more. Like, what was more was Branded Like a Leader 1.0. And I said, hey, how can I find out about this next step? There's something else that I'm missing. I was very professionally brought onto a call after a webinar of some kind or a seminar of some sort. And the individual said, so you want the next level? I said, yes, I want the next level. He says, I have the next level for you if you so choose to accept everything that comes with getting there. I said, I accept. And from that day forward, I started learning competencies. I started changing. I started developing, and I started doing the work. And as I ended with this, guys, the first year, it did not take me 6 years. It did not take me 10 years. It did not take me months. Like the first 60 days, I think I closed my first deal. Like first 60 days.
That's
in
right.
The first 90 days, I had like some clients on retainer. In 6 months, I had made more in my business than I ever made in any of my 4 previous businesses. By the end of the year, I had done 400% revenue growth from like zero. We went through. And then the next year, we did it again. Universal laws, ladies and gentlemen. And the next year, I kept working the principles. And as I kept working the principles, I kept getting the results. And if I keep working the principles, and if you learn the principles and work them, I'm very confident that you'll get similar results. So I just wanted to share that with you because I've been through every one of those courses, and each of them did exactly what Shaan Rais says that they do.
We're going to talk about foundational principles tomorrow. Foundational principles tomorrow, because this is why you never see Mayweather in trouble. That's why you never saw Mayweather get in trouble. He got hit a couple times. He got hit real hard sometimes. People would catch him. Like, you'll get caught in business. Things will happen. But if you can stick to the pad work and the footwork, then you're good. You're golden. You'll be 50-0. You'll be 50-0. You will not lose. You will only grow and you will only scale. You will only grow and you will only scale. And you'll make more money than you ever made. When I say make your yearly income monthly, your monthly income weekly, and your weekly income daily, that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. So just think about your revenue now for the year on whatever gig it is or whatever business you're in. And imagine making that in a month. That's what we're talking about. And we're going to go deeper into it tomorrow on the Breakfast with the Brand. I'm your host, Shaan Rais, flanked, of course, by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. And your opportunity is on the screen. Your opportunity has been on the screen for the entire day. Right? This is free. So nobody can ever say I never tried to help, right? For free. This is what we do. But if you want to go from free to fee, that's the link. Click it, put it in the browser. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and let's grow.